Welcome, I'm Dr. Bob Grinder. In this video, we're going to build a variation to our command block slot machine. In addition to that, we're rolling out a brand new randomizer, variable odds, variable prizes, and a progressive jackpot. I'd like to send a shout out to Haruki-kun, who requested this build. So we're going to start from scratch. And speaking of scratch, if you hadn't noticed already, my voice is a little off today. Bear with me. I just started. I'm expecting it to get worse throughout the next few days, so I figured no time like the present to create some content. So we're on it. We're rolling. Going into our settings, just creating a flat world. I'm going to turn off all the things that might be annoying while we're trying to build this concept. So the very first thing we're going to do is set up our scoreboards. We got / scoreboard objectives. So we're going to have 5 objectives that we're going to type in. We started with diamond. We're just going to add an S. So now we've got diamonds. Gold. Iron. And now we're going to create our progressive scoreboard for our progressive jackpot. Next, we're going to do / give itself command _ block. Same thing for the structure block. We're going to move very fast here. We've got a lot to cover and trying to squeeze it in under 1 hour. Going into the creative inventory, we'll want an armor stand, an anvil. We've got redstone dust, redstone comparator. We'll take 3 name tags. Go ahead and grab the button of your choosing and some kind of decorative block. So next we're going to carve out our footprint. I'm going to create a 8 by 42 void for us to build this entire machine into that space. And then we're going to go about 18 blocks in. Go ahead and give ourselves a little partition here. So we've got a little 4 by 5 square here. And our first 3 command blocks. So we're going to have a repeat, unconditional, always active. Setting this for 12 delay in ticks. So if you watch my previous slot machine video, you'll probably remember that I had an accidental a side effect that ended up being a cool feature, which was the rotating slot machine effect from the previous shuffle, the redstone kind of repeating shuffle thing. So what we're doing here, we're gonna actually step away from that shuffler. We're gonna go to a true randomizer, but I wanted to simulate that effect. I wanted that shuffle effect. So that's what we're building right here. So all we're gonna do now is just copy and paste the first chain that we just built. So I'm going to go into this next chain and just adjust it a little bit. I don't want all three of these blocks rotating in the exact same direction. So I'm just going to mix it up a little bit just for visual effect. And I want to reiterate that this whole first platform that we just built, all of those commands are just for visual effect. They have no functional effect in what we're building here. So next we're going to grab our armor stand and we want to place down 9 armor stands. So here's where your anvil and your name tags are going to come into play. Like I said before, we're going to want 3. So now that I have 3, we're going to go ahead and name. So we've got diamond. I think you guys can probably figure out the rest. So I'm gonna create 5 iron, 3 gold, and 1 diamond. And that is gonna fit in with the specific math for the odds that I want. You may choose to set yours up slightly different. Just throwing it out there for the time being, this is what we're working with. 5 iron, 3 gold, 1 diamond. So we've placed down a structure block and we're saving this whole stretch as stand 1. And now, super, super important, we want to add a tag. And we're adding this tag to all 9 of these armor stands so that our sensors on the other side will recognize that this is dedicated to the first slot. Make sure when you place it that it says 9 entities. All right, so we're going to go ahead and load that structure again, but try to load that structure far enough away from the first row that when you add the next tag, it's not added to the first row. We want this unique. So you see there, 9 entities just got the tag of stand 2. Super important. We're trying to differentiate these rows from each other, so we don't want any cross-contamination. Same thing, we're loading stand 1, and we're going to try to add a unique tag to this third and final row. And again, / tag at entity bracket type equals armor underscore stand, comma, all right, so we'll go ahead and expand the parameters of our structure block so that we're saving this entire fleet of armor stands, all 3 rows. And even though the 3 rows have unique tags, we're going to save the whole thing under one structure as an entire fleet. Go ahead and get pencil, pen, paper, cell phone, whatever. Record these coordinates at the corner wherever you're going to load this structure for your fleet of armor stands. Make sure that you're recording the coordinate where you're standing, where I'm standing right now. And now I'm just going to walk to this next corner just straight ahead. And I'm going to go ahead and record these coordinates as well, because this point is going to be the ignition point for the command chain associated with these armor stands. If you've watched my previous videos, probably have an idea of where I'm going with this, but for now, go ahead and write down these coordinates for this corner. We're going to place down some command blocks. Make sure they are all facing in the same direction. This is super important. We're creating a chain. All right, so we're going to shoot back here real quick, jot down some more coordinates. So this is going to be the destination for the blocks. We're not quite there yet, but go ahead and write it down, and remember, subtract 1 from the y coordinate. So this would be -3, -59, 11. Okay, that is stand 1. Stand 2, -4, -59, 11. Stand 3, -5, -59, 11. But more importantly, for the moment, this is what we want. -3, -61, 11. That's also stand 1 for the first chain. So we'll get to the other one next. So write these down. Write all 3 of those down. -3, -4, -5. Okay, because your armor stands are going to teleport exactly where we were just standing. Now this next command is the heart of this new concept, this new randomizer. It's a very, very subtle change, but we're going to TP at R, at random. So bracket, type equals armor underscore stand, comma, tag equals stand 1. Okay, and we're going to type in the coordinates that we just recorded where we were standing over on the platform, right? So this command is only going to teleport one of the 9 in the very first row in the stand 1 row. It's going to randomly teleport one of them to that first slot that we were standing on. And next we got chain unconditional, always active, same thing, teleporting at R, bracket type equals armor armor underscore stand, but this time the tag is stand 2. And now we're doing the next coordinate over, the -4, -61, 11. We'll go ahead and add 60 delay and ticks to this. So this next one, I'm sure you can imagine, we've got chain, unconditional, always active. We'll do 60 delay and ticks as this as well. And now we're just doing the final row. So we got TP at R, type equals armor underscore stand, if I can type it in right. I can't talk right or type right today. Sorry about that. Tag equals stand 3. And then this will be the final coordinate for that platform that we were standing on, -5, -61, 11. So we've got an 80 delay and ticks on this. So we're actually going to clear the entire area with a radius of 12 for these armor stands. And we want to do that because we want to reset each time. And then we're going to reload it. That's why we copied the structure of the entire fleet. That's why we copied down those coordinates. So we're going to erase the fleet and replace the fleet over and over again to make this concept work, which is rolling into this next command. Structure load, like I said, we wrote these coordinates down. That's for stand 1. We recorded that with the structure block. And now we got chain unconditional, always active. All we're going to do here is clear the ignition for the chain that we're standing on right now. So we're going to set that for air, make sure we have those coordinates. This was the back corner coordinates that we wrote down. Right about there. So we can give this a little test drive. You can hear the words that are coming out of my mouth, but I think a picture is worth 1,000 words. So We're going to do a little bit of a demonstration here. So you see we have our shuffle. And look closely, you see the armor stands are randomly teleporting to the platform. And it reset. So we have a little wonky thing going on here. That is because we did not go into these. So we want stand 3 for this third row. And we want stand 2 for the middle row. It didn't show up in the presentation because those coordinates were close enough that it was activated. But let's go ahead and do it the right way and set these for stand 2. So the next thing we're going to want to do is create the command chains that are going to recognize the specific armor stand that was teleported to that location and add those things to the scoreboard, to the outcome. Currently, all of those stands teleported, all it really did was stop the random simulator, but it didn't really calculate anything. It didn't display anything. So that's what we're working on next. All right, so this time instead of doing type and tag, we're doing tag and name. We want to make sure each slot decision chain doesn't get confused with the wrong slot. Again, we don't want cross-contamination, so we want to be very specific on how we type in these commands. So we've got tag equals stand 1, name equals gold, and then we're going to set block. Actually, we don't want to set back gold, so I think we need to go back in there and change that. So we'll get into this a little bit more later. For the time being, we're going to set this to Blackstone. Okay. Because we have conditional, because we set this next one for chain, conditional, always active, things have to happen in a sequential fashion. We have to change it to a block we're not going to use. So the Blackstone block is a tool. It's not actually going to show up in the build. So now we're going to set block for the coordinates that we jotted down earlier. We're going to set that to gold block. And again, chain, conditional, always active. We're setting everything from here on out in this chain, we're setting it for 1 tick. And now we've got our scoreboard. Which is what we set up in the very beginning of this video. And now we can use the structure block to our advantage. We're going to do some copy and pasting here. And again, like the previous chain, we want to go in and make sure that all of those command blocks are pointing in the same direction so that you have a continuous chain. We've gone back into this one. We're changing it to chain unconditional, always active. We're going to fine tune these ticks to 1 delay in ticks. Same thing. We're going to adjust our radius, and we're going to adjust the name of the block and the outcome for the block. And again, same thing. Chain unconditional, always active. We'll change our final portion of this chain. So we've got 13 in our radius. We're going to change this one to diamond. And so when we've changed that, all the things connected have to change as well, right? So we're going to set block diamond, and we're also going to add 1 to our diamond scoreboard. If I can spell it right. I've added this play sound random.click at player, tag equals slots, because the shuffle and decision and placement, all the timing, it's not perfect. We need an audible indication to players that the decision is final. So that is the sound. That's the important part. Okay, so as you can see here, we have an issue. It says iron, but we actually got gold. So we just need to figure that out. And I'm not sure. Give me a second. Well, okay. We need a radius. Okay. So let's go ahead and set this radius to 2. All right, much better. But you can see the next 2 don't match up. Well, that's because we haven't built the chains for them yet. Yeah, so let's go ahead and get rid of all that command block spam. / game rule, command block output false. And now we're going to use the structure block to copy and paste the chain that we just created for the first slot. And we're going to paste that into the next two slots and then make the minor adjustments so that they match up correctly, and it's going to save us a bunch of time. So now we'll go in and change that to stand 2. And all the way down the chain, we're going to change the tag, but also the destination coordinate. So here we're switching from -3 to -4. On the next chain, it'll be to -5. So again, tag change from stand 1 to stand 2, and the set block from -3 to -4. And it's that simple. We just have to make that minor adjustment all the way down this chain. And now stand 3. And as I said earlier, stand 3 and -5 all the way down your chain. So we have a few more things to add on to the end here. So this third chain is going to be the final chain. So we actually have an extra sound effect that we want to attach to the end as an indicator that the round is finalized. So now we're going to get into that progressive jackpot calculator. So basically what we're doing is testing to see if the player's iron score matches 1. So the command that follows it, the play sound, that really doesn't matter. It's just to connect to this chain conditional always active. That's important. But the next one is conditional. And so now we've already compared 2 scoreboards together. So now, we already compared 1. So now, if the gold score also matches 1, then we know by deduction that the diamond scoreboard is going to equal 1, right? So in this case, we're going to add a score of 1 to the progressive scoreboard. So the way I've set this up is that every time a player hits one of each block, diamond, gold, and iron, then a score of 1 will be added to the progressive jackpot. Now, after some thorough testing of this, I would say don't do what I'm doing right here. Don't, at least initially, don't type in all the bold and color and jackpot, and just keep it super simple until everything is working. You can always go back in later and upgrade the colors and the bold and but that is the purpose of that command, is for our progressive jackpot. So next we've got chain unconditional, always active. Go ahead and throw 40 delay and ticks on this. So now we're going to start setting our scoreboards back to 0. We started with gold, so we're going to do the same thing for iron and diamond. We put 20 delay and ticks on that command block. I'm not going to put any delay and ticks on this one. Same as the last 2. As I already said, this is going to be just setting the diamond scoreboard back to 0. And then finally, in this chain, we want to remove the tag slots. What we don't want happening is if we've got multiple players playing, we don't want things confused. We don't want players winning when they're not even playing. We want a very clear delineation. So when a player puts in their diamond, they get the tag. And when the chain ends, the tag is removed. So we'll give it another little test run here. We'll even look at our scoreboard. We'll start with the iron. So you can see to the right of your screen, we've got our iron scoreboard. And we'll do a little test. And as you can see, diamond, iron, diamond, we did get 1 added to our diamond scoreboard, and it was cleared as programmed. So far, so good. So as a little side note, the way that I'm going to go ahead and decorate this a little bit, but The way this is set up with the 3 rows of 9 armor stands is for a specific statistic in terms of outcome and odds. So if you want to adjust your own odds, then you're going to have to go into those armor stands and adjust how many of them are available. So based on this current build, by my calculations, the odds of getting 3 iron in a turn is 1 in 6. The odds of getting 3 gold is 1 in 28. And the odds of getting 3 diamond is 1 in 1,000. And I can tell you, I've been testing this concept for a little bit, and I have yet to hit 3 diamond in a row. And remember, the way we've set this up, actually, we haven't got there yet. The way we're going to set this up is that the progressive jackpot is actually going to pay out only when you hit 3 diamonds in a row. So that puts the overall odds at 20%. So when you go through and fine tune everything, make sure you set it up for math that makes sense to you, makes sense for you, for your server, for your realm, and what you're trying to accomplish. So we've started with our initial trigger chain. So when somebody walks up to the slot machine, they want to put their diamond in the machine and pull it. That's the chain we're working on right now. I'm not going to explain every single reason for every single command. If I allowed myself to do that, this video, believe it or not, this video would end up being like 3 hours. Just know I've done a fair amount of testing, and there's a reason for everything, right? Everything in this chain has a reason. Sometimes it's just a backup. It's just a fail safe. Most of the time it has a direct input, a direct part in the flow of the chain. But sometimes, as the command I'm working on right now, this is just a fail safe to make sure that the system doesn't get jammed up. It's not, if it's going to be buggy, we want to make sure it's not too buggy. So I just threw in an extra armor stand, right? But the reason for that is, as I was just saying, is because this whole chain is dependent. Each thing depends on the previous command. And one of those commands depends on clearing an armor stand from the area. So we're just throwing in an extra armor stand just in case. Just in case things go sideways, it'll clear that out, it'll reset, and we'll be back to 0. So, all right, so on this one, we're going to intermittently display the progressive jackpot and then remove it. It's almost like a teaser. It's an intentional programmed thing here where I want to display and then remove the progressive jackpot, because mathematically speaking, that jackpot could grow into something quite attractive and draw more attention, draw more action, and that's the whole point, right? Activity. So there you go. So now we're going to start working on our chains to recognize So now we're working on our reward sensors. These chains are going to sense when a player has matched 3 of a kind of any 3 of the blocks. So all I've done there is a simple title command. So we got chain conditional, always active. Very important with these sensors that anything that follows the repeat block, it's all going to be conditional. And so we're going to set our diamonds scoreboard. Remember, with an S, we had 2, diamond and diamonds. So the diamonds with an S scoreboard is going to be essential in our payout scheme. So let's make sure it's very easy to get those mixed up. I've done it, and I probably should have come up with a better name for the scoreboard, but I just wanted to clarify that. And then lastly, in this chain, we'll go ahead and once again, we've got a sound to indicate that a player has won. And as have we mentioned and performed time and time again, we're going to use our structure block to copy and paste and save a boatload of time. So we've gone back in here and we're just changing from iron to gold, changing the color of the title. Change diamond reward from 4 to 8. That's up to you, whatever makes sense in your scheme. And then finally, going into our diamond, so we're going to change. We're going to change the color, and we'll go ahead and add some bold text to that. All right, so I've set this for 32 for now. Don't get too hung up on that. Mathematically, doesn't really make sense, but remember, the 3 diamonds, that's tied into the progressive jackpot. So mathematically speaking, the progressive jackpot for 3 diamonds is going to be much more attractive than whatever the base diamond payout is. So that's what we're going to connect in these next couple of commands here. So I think it's worth mentioning, going back to what I mentioned earlier about keeping this simple for the progressive scoreboard. As you can tell here, that's funky. It doesn't look right. In fact, I'm going to have to open it back up and really take a close look at it. But I would say keep that really simple, that scoreboard. But the gist of this command is that we're going to set the player's diamonds score to equal the progressive jackpot score. Okay, so as long as you keep your progressive jackpot scoreboard simple, and you can go back in later and make it fancy, you're going to be fine. So that is what we're trying to accomplish here. So if the progressive jackpot is 1,000 diamonds, the player's diamonds scoreboard should immediately equate and adopt exactly mirror image of what the progressive jackpot scoreboard looks like. And then finally in this chain, we're going to title at all, because it's a jackpot, for goodness sake. I don't care if there's 100 players in your realm. Everybody should know that somebody just hit the jackpot. Here's something a little special. It's something that I showed off in the blackjack tutorial, but we're going to create a little different payout structure. So we're going to save a structure block above this, set everything 1, 1, 1. As you can see, we have a floating diamond, and I'm saving it as diamante. Okay, that's important. That's really important, because instead of setting up a command block to give a player a diamond and create this obnoxious command spam, we're going to pay it out differently. And we'll go into that with this chain. So this first block is testing for a player that has a diamonds score of 1 or more. And diamonds are the way that the game is paying out. You're buying in with a diamond and you're getting paid back with diamonds. So we're using the diamond scoreboard. So this chain is recognizing you've got a value added to your scoreboard. And so now this next command in the chain is going to remove a value of 1 from your scoreboard, but it's going to give you 1 diamond in return. But this is the important part. It's not going to be a command block handing you a diamond and creating spam. This is going to load the structure of Diamante above that player's head. So the player is still receiving a diamond. We just don't have all that text filling up the screen. It's an eyesore. It's distracting. It's obnoxious. So we'll give it a little bit of a test run here. So I'm going to set my game mode for survival. As you can see, I have 4 diamonds in my hotbar. Now we have our diamond scoreboard to the right. It says 0. And so now we're going to adjust that diamond scoreboard and see what it does to the diamonds that I'm holding in my hotbar. And it did nothing, but there's a reason I don't have the tag of slots. It's important. Just added it, and as you can see, now I have 10 diamonds in my hotbar, and the diamonds scoreboard now equals 0. So we are getting very close to the end. We're going to go back in here and just kind of decorate, set up your slot machine however you want, whatever your heart desires. Just get crazy. Oh, maybe not so crazy. Maybe keep it simple like I did here. So much of the mechanism of this depends on those tags. Pay close attention to your tags. If things aren't working right, there's very few things, and one of them is your tags. And there you have it. We have a fully functioning, working slot machine with variable outcomes, variable payouts, and a progressive jackpot system. So hopefully I will catch you on the next one.